Today I'm checking out Mouse PI4H, and if you've seen this game you already know it's all about style. It's got that old school cartoon noir look, black and white visuals, rubber hose animations, and it's instantly eye-catching. But what I didn't expect is just how well it works on the Steam Deck and how many settings it actually gives you to tweak the experience both visually in terms of audio and the actual gameplay. So today we're going to be checking it out on the Steam Deck and I'm going to go over all of that and I'm going to give you my recommended settings for it. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, before we even get into performance, when you launch the game, there's going to be a lot of settings that you can tweak. You've got 4 different visual modes that change how the game looks, and also 5 different audio profiles that affect how everything sounds. It's not something you see often, but it really helps sell the whole cartoon noir atmosphere. On top of that, you can tweak things like film grain and diffusion. I personally dropped film grain to around 20, and I set diffusion to 0, and I think that still keeps the style but makes the image noticeably clearer on the Steam Deck screen. There are also some accessibility options mainly focused on motion sensitivity. This game is quite fast paced and I think this is a nice touch if you're playing handheld for longer sessions because it can get a little bit dizzy. Now, one thing that really surprised me, the game also has a ton of controller settings. You can adjust different aim types, aim assist, strength, sensitivity, even aim acceleration. And honestly, it's more in-depth than most FPS games I've tested on the Steam Deck. And that's a big deal because aiming is usually where handheld FPS games struggle, or at least I struggle with them using the controls. And I did end up lowering the aim acceleration because the default felt a bit too aggressive and made aiming less precise for me. So once I tweaked that, it felt way better, but I am using aim assist on the highest sensitivity because I'm just not good at aiming with a controller. Now, the game defaults to the medium settings, and I think this is where it really shows that the developers actually own the Steam Deck and they've tweaked it to play good on the Steam Deck. It targets 40 FPS and it is locked to 40 FPS on medium settings, and honestly, that default configuration is pretty well thought out. If you do decide to uncap it, you'll mostly see performance between 40 and 85 FPS, but it can drop into the 40s during heavier scenes, and most often it will. And that's exactly why the game caps itself to 40 by default, for consistency basically. For me personally, I prefer a bit more responsiveness, so my recommended settings are to just leave it at the medium preset, but increase that FPS cap to 60 instead of 40. And yeah, you will get some dips into the 40s occasionally, but overall the experience feels smooth and responsive enough that I don't mind. And there are plenty of scenes where it's not that heavy, you're mostly spending time talking to people, and at 60 FPS it just looks better, at least for me. You can also crank it all the way up to Ultra and you can cap it to 30 FPS and it's gonna run without any issues if you decide to do that. But for me personally, 30 FPS and a first-person shooter game, it just doesn't match. So I'm sticking with the medium preset and with a cap of 60 FPS. If you really want to prioritize performance, you can also drop down to low settings and that will help stabilize things. You can get closer to a locked 60 FPS even in heavier battles with fewer dips compared to medium. The trade-off is mostly in visual detail, but because of the game's art style, it still looks pretty good even on lower settings. So if you're sensitive to frame drops or you just want more consistent experience, low settings are also a solid option. Now, battery life for this game is actually really solid as well. On those medium settings, you're looking at over 4 hours on the OLED Steam Deck, which is great for a game like this. And that's with the 40 FPS cap. If you do a 60 FPS cap, you're looking more at around 3 hours and 30 minutes. But if you cap lower or tweak settings further, you can stretch that even more. So you can change different presets depending on your use case. If you happen to be playing remotely and you want more battery life, you can definitely lower the settings a little bit. You can cap it to 30 or 40 FPS and you can get over 5 hours of battery life. Now, outside of the technical stuff, the game itself is pretty fun. The writing and characters are genuinely funny and the whole presentation keeps things interesting. Combined with the solid performance and all the customization options, it ends up being a really enjoyable handheld FPS experience, and I really don't remember the last time I had so much fun with a first-person game on the Steam Deck or on a controller. And again, I went into this not expecting much, but I'm honestly surprised how much I ended up enjoying this on the Steam Deck, and I wholeheartedly recommend this game. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, and if you disliked it, let me know what I can do to improve. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.